It looks from the outside like a mission impossible, but there's no heavyweight fight that's impossible. When you got big guys throwing such big bombs, anything can happen. And I implore the British fight fans to really get behind him, to really cheer him on, to send him all of the good energy possible, because he's going to need it. He really is going to need it. But, it happens. From time to time, the impossible happens. And I think this is one of those situations. We've got a master boxer in Oleksandr Usyk, who's proven himself time and time again. He proved himself at cruiserweight. He's proved himself at heavyweight against the giant Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua had 2 attempts to dethrone him and wasn't able to do so. Anthony Joshua tried and failed to have a long-range boxing match with a master boxer, came unstuck. So I definitely feel Dubois, watching that, understanding what was clear to see from everybody, having a long-range tactical battle with a genius, with a master, with a magician, southpaw magician, Olympic champion, all the belts at cruiserweight, pretty much all the belts at heavyweight. Let's not play that game with Usyk. Let's rewatch the Derek Chisora fight against Usyk and look at why Derek Chisora, coming into that fight with 12 losses or whatever it was able to win 5 of the 12 rounds on 2 of the judges' scorecards. What was it that Chisora did to give him that much success? And I believe when he has studied it, I understand. I heard Don Charles talking, not giving away any strategy, but he said he wants to put Usyk in his uncomfort zone, and that's exactly right. Dubois needs to use every ounce of his massive heavyweight frame and implement that from round 1, not easing into the round, giving Usyk the opportunity to get his distance, to get his range, because it's been a little while that Usyk has been in the ring, and I know he's not traditionally a fast starter. He likes to ease into the fight. So whilst he's easing in, Dubois needs to be doing damage, particularly in the clinches when they get inside, come into range, throw shots, throw clusters of punches, getting Usyk to hold, getting Usyk to tuck up against the ropes and throwing clusters of very useful punches with intensity, understanding don't look at this as a 12-round fight. Dubois isn't going to win this fight on points against Oleksandr Usyk. He's going to have to force Usyk to fight, to keep him off of him, and to fight at a pace which will drain Usyk's energy. He's getting older. He's no spring chicken. Are those legs as good as they were 5 years ago? I don't believe so. So he needs to use his youth, his strength, his size, his aggression, the fact that he doesn't have that many miles on the clock. Usyk has had a lot of tough fights, even back at cruiserweight. Hundreds of amateur fights. He's worn, he's torn, he's seasoned, but he's at the end of his career. If you look at the 2 fights with Anthony Joshua, he looked significantly better in the first fight as he did the second fight. Yep. He's going the right way. Dubois is coming into his peak now. Hopefully this can be the fight where he can prove to the world that, I am number 1. That's all it takes, is that one clean shot followed up by a cluster of punches to end the fight. He has the capabilities. He's done it before against a lot lower opposition, understandably. But in the heavyweight division, crazy things happen. Who would have thought that cluster of punches that Andy Ruiz threw against Anthony Joshua would be enough to change the momentum of the fight? He was getting his head punched in for the first few rounds. Andy Ruiz didn't allow that to stop his mindset of all it takes is that one shot, and I'm going to punch when you're punching, and I'm going to take some shots. I'm going to get dropped. I don't mind. I'm going to get up and keep punching. If he has that same Andy Ruiz mindset where I'm just going to keep coming forward and keep throwing punches, he can do the unthinkable, and he has the capabilities to become the unified heavyweight champion of the world. And the British public need to really get behind this young man. Great guy, great ambassador for the sport. He's a lovely yad, and what a great thing to happen in the heavyweight division for British boxing, meaning all of the belts. You know, WBC's over with Fury, but WBA, IBF, WBO. Let's bring them all together and let's bring all the belts under the UK banner, and then we get that undisputed #1 fight, which will be an easier fight to make. You know, both fighters, under the TNT banner. It's a very simple, clean, and easy fight to make. And finally, the fight fans will get an undisputed #1 with no questions. I don't believe it's solely down to his obviously having the right coach in the corner, having the right sparring partners, having the right strength conditioning coach, having the right gym morale. Or it helps. It makes a massive difference. But I'd say that's 30%. The 70% is in Dubois' head. It's in his mind. You can have you could spend millions on a training camp, and when that first bell rings, you go and apply the wrong tactics. I'm not sure how much money Anthony Joshua invested in those 2 training camps for Usyk, but whatever it was wasted because he applied the wrong energy when that first bell rings. And I definitely feel Dubois will need to do something he hasn't done yet. But just because someone hasn't done it yet doesn't mean it can't be done. There's no pressure on Dubois in this fight. He just needs to treat this fight like his life depends on it. He's walking into a very hostile atmosphere, 40,000 Ukrainians, rabid Ukrainians who need Usyk. He's the beacon of hope for them. He's who they see as he's the hero. There's never been a bigger hero on those shores than Usyk. He's not the big guy. I remember how Vitaly Klitschko and Vladimir Klitschko were superstars, but they were always the big guy in the fight. They was always the physically superior. Usyk isn't. He's the small guy fighting the giants. So they connect with that more. More people can relate to Usyk. He's a regular sized human. He's the same size as me. He's a regular sized human being who is doing the impossible, fighting these giants. He's got such momentum behind him in Ukraine and around the world that Dubois has the opportunity to take all of that. He has a rare opportunity in one fight to take all of those accolades and go on to unify the belts against Tyson Fury. And as long as his head's right, he's going to get nervous. Understandably, he's a young man, but I had my opportunity when I was 27, going into Levallois on the outskirts of Paris to fight Jean-Marc Mormec, who was the unified cruiserweight champion at the time. He was promoted by Don King. All of the cards were stacked against me, but I knew what I had to do. I knew there was a chance I'd have to come off the canvas. I practiced getting knocked down, knowing that there's a strong possibility I can be knocked down. But being a realist allowed me to prepare amply for when the time come to really make things happen and to force the stoppage victory, as I knew in my mind the fight can't go to points. If it goes to points, I've lost. So I have to find a way to get a knockout. Dubois is in exactly the same situation now. A couple of years younger, but he's bigger. He's stronger than I was, and I believe he's got a very, very good chance if he really, really attacks Usyk with no respect. Respecting the punches coming back, but I'm talking in the clinch. I'm talking when we get inside, no respect. No, even for what the referee's saying. You need to do the damage. If you've got to throw some illegal shots around the back of the head, if you've got to hit him in the kidneys, if you've got to hit him low, you've got to bend the rules to the limit. If he has a couple of points taken off, we said to Derek prior to the Usyk fight, you're gonna possibly get some points deducted, but it doesn't matter. You gotta use every opportunity to drag Usyk into his uncomfort zone and try and drown him. You got to try and drown him with that heavyweight energy, because naturally he's not that big. He can eat all he wants, have as many protein shakes. He's naturally a 90-kilogram man. You're 100 10 kilogrammer. You're a much bigger specimen. So you have to use every kilogram to lean on him, push him, use your head, rough him up, cut him. You treat it like, forget the sport. Think about it as life and death. If you got that mindset, you can do something. You can do something dramatic, something special that will, put his name up there as, one of the biggest upsets. I can't think of a fight where, I remember Oliver McCall fighting Lennox Lewis or Hasim Rahman. No one, it was the same energy. You've got the champion who we're all looking to see how amazing he is, and this challenger who, on paper, if you look at the bookies, he doesn't really have a shot. It happens from time to time. If the heart's there, if the mind's there, crazy things happen in this heavyweight division. It solely depends on Dubois. If Dubois does what he's done in any of his previous fights, he loses the fight on points or by late stoppage. If he does what he's done, if he goes into the ring like he did against Kevin Lerena, he loses the fight. No secret. If he comes out and has a fights as though the way he fought Joe Joyce, his last two big fights, he loses. But I believe there's a version that we haven't seen yet. I believe I've seen stuff in the gym, sparring, which I hadn't seen in the ring. I rated Dubois significantly better after watching him behind closed doors sparring, because he was doing stuff that he hasn't done on fight night yet. If he can take some of that magic that I saw behind closed doors that I know he can do and implement it on fight night, on Saturday night, when the lights are on, he's got a shot. And not only a shot of winning, but by a spectacular knockout. But it's solely down to him. He can have whoever he wants screaming at him between rounds. He's got to want it in his heart. He's got to understand, life and death. I'm going to have to go through the fire. I'm going to have to go through whatever I need to go through. I may have to climb off the canvas, but I'm going to keep on swinging, throwing combinations, throwing hooks to the body, hooks to the head. Whilst Usyk tucks up, he needs to do damage, hit him in his arms, hit him in his hips, down the back of the head, hold him and hit him, get the referee, just force you got to take some chinks out of Usyk to slow him down. Because if you give him room, he's going to dance rings around you, and he's going to settle into a pace where you're locked out of the fight, and you're in that beautiful zone that Usyk gets very comfortable in, and he can do it for 20 rounds. Forget 12 rounds. He can box. If he boxes how Anthony Joshua boxed him, with lots of respect, lots of touching gloves, long jabbing, single jabs, looking for the perfect shot, it will be a nightmare, and he'll lose 100 times out of 100. You need to throw punches at shots that aren't there yet. Don't look for the shot. He won't give you it. You got to throw 3 or 4 punches and have him duck into a shot that he is unaware is coming. That's the only way to do it. And I believe he has the capabilities to do it. And it's just solely down to what Daniel Dubois wants. It's in his control. And I definitely implore the British fight fans to really get behind him, to really cheer him on, to send him all of the good energy possible, because he's going to need it. He really is going to need it. But, it happens. From time to time, the impossible happens. And I think this is one of those situations.